All right, we got 20 minutes left, and we got a killer last panel. Lori's going to take us home.
Let's go. Ladies. Hi, everybody. I'm Lori Hotz, and I'm co-founder and co-CEO of Lobis, and so privileged to be here with all this amazing talent. And I used to work at Christie's. I was a managing director. That's where I met my co-founder, Sarah. And we used to run a couple $2 billion a year of art, everything from Basquiat to Rembrandt, Monet. And, you know, we'd do $100 million sales, and world records would be reached, and we'd look at each other and we're like, where's the artist? Like, what is going on? Where's their leverage in this economic system? And I also worked in banking for 25 years, so like, I always follow the money. And I'm like, what is happening here? And so, you know, we decided to start a company called Lobis, and our focus is creator equity, and our focus is being able to invest in cultural assets. Because let's face it, creators give us everything. They give us meaning, right? They tell us about beauty, about struggle, about inspiration. Like, what would our lives really be without it? And so it was very fortuitous. I was sitting in the Handshake Lounge in May, unbelievably, run off my feet, and this strapping man comes to sit beside me. He's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm into creator equity. He's like, yeah, me too. Like, well, tell me more. And so we've literally been tag teaming this for the last couple months with tons of support and tons of help from Megan. And I want to introduce these women because these are the people that are going to make it all happen. These are the people who are the powerhouses in the industry. And we have the COO of Circle, who's Elisabeth, Carpenter, and we have the CEO of 8Hut, Jaime Leverton. And you know, you can read their bios, but what it doesn't tell you is their spirit of inclusion and generosity is overwhelming. And so that's why they're here today, and they're going to be part of the engine, as I'm sure, to leverage tokenization, leverage new technology, to ensure inclusion. And so let's start talking about it.
All right.
Jaime, what are you excited about? Tell us.
I think we need to go back a bit to the origin story. Hut 8 is a Bitcoin mining company. We're the first publicly traded company to hold Bitcoin on balance sheet. And for those of you not familiar with the Bitcoin origin story, it was really a reaction in 2008 to the financial crisis. And this small group of technologists that were libertarians said this is just ridiculous, that the banking system can collapse by their own poor actions, poor decisions, and it's the consumer that's left holding the bag. The money supply is controlled by central authorities. We have 1.1 billion people in the world that have no access to a formal banking system, that have no access to identity. And so from that, they released the Bitcoin white paper, which was to create Bitcoin, a digital gold, or I look at it as digitized energy, and we're going to talk about the tokenization of real world assets. It is a money supply that is completely decentralized. It's run by code. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin in supply. The last Bitcoin comes into circulation in the year 2140. It cannot be manipulated. It cannot be debased or inflated. And it's the promise of what Bitcoin can bring to the global citizen that got me sitting here, and I'm sure got Megan sitting here as well.
So tell us, how does trust play into this new economic model? And how should people think about trusting this new system? Although it seems like it can facilitate the leverage or give people the leverage that they really need in a system.
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to thank you for having me. I'm so humbled to be on this panel, particularly given the two panels that just preceded us.
Yeah, I'm fully sweating and shaking at the same time. So it feels really good to be in my body right now.
Nuts. So thank you. Thank you for listening. Trust comes in lots of forms, and trust is critical. I mean, if you think about, I have what is this? This is like a 10 franc note. This actually is just a piece of freaking paper. If you don't believe what it's worth and you can't trust in what it's worth, that when you go to a store and use it, that it's actually going to give you something of equal value back, it's game over. This piece of paper might as well be burnt. All the stuff that we're talking about, all the mumbo jumbo, all the crap, all the words, all the English words in a sentence that when you put them all together, you don't even know what the fart anyone's talking about, because it's all this crypto gobbledygook. You've got to, number one, education. If people do not understand why this matters and why they should care, then it's game over for the cryptocurrency industry, for digitization, for tokenization. So that's number one.
Sorry, can I just lob a shout out? I always recommend people that are going down the rabbit hole for the first time in this world start with a book called The Bitcoin Standard. It does an incredible job of just laying out the history of money, what Bitcoin's solving for, why it's different from anything else, and then how blockchain technologies have been built on top of it. So anyway, highly recommend. Education is the best place to start, and that book is the foundation.
So that's like the foundation is you build trust that way, just because people understand what you're doing, why it matters, and really importantly, they can believe in it. Because again, if you don't believe that you are going to get any value out of something, then it's game over. Another form of trust is that you build a system, which is what blockchain and the promise of cryptocurrency gives you, that can be trusted because it removes the very middlemen who will otherwise potentially take any wealth that you can generate and create and hold. They'll take it away from you. So
They'll debase it.
Whether this is something like music rights, whether it's something like you go buy a house and you now have a deed. Well, what if the guy in the deeds office just doesn't like you? So they don't write down that you actually own that house. This stuff happens. It may not happen in fancy pants suburban America, but it absolutely happens. If you have a form of, if you can decentralize some of this, if you can automate a lot of this, if you make it irrefutable, then you don't have to worry about the fact that that house is yours. This is very similar to what you guys were discussing and what you're doing, which is amazing, which is all about ownership. If you can't trust that, right now you can't trust that if you have a music, you create a bunch of music or you create a painting or whatever, you can't trust that you're gonna have any wealth generation out of that at all other than the first sale. So if you're going to change up the technology and you're going to digitize that, you're going to tokenize it so that there's a digital representation of your ownership that travels with the piece of property, whatever it is, you have to trust that you're going to get that. That is another form of trust. And when it actually starts happening, people start seeing it, there's going to be this groundswell. And the other thing is just trusting that for all of us in this industry, because there is so much confusion, there's the education piece, but there's following up with what you say you're going to do, you actually do. So in our case, we have a digital dollar. We operate the world's largest digital currency, dollar. There's about 44 billion in circulation. Last year, there was, I think, 8.6 billion trillion, transacted on chain. That's a gobbledygook word for actually happening in the cryptocurrency world on blockchains. This is real. It's happening, and there's a flight to safety to take something like a USDC. By the way, what I meant to say was that USDC has powered 8.6 trillion last year. That they can take USDC and they know it's a digital form of a dollar and they know that it's worth $1 because they can see every month we're showing that dollar's sitting in an actual bank account. And then they know that they can trust it. They can hold it in a digital wallet. That's not a wallet with paper money. It's just a digital wallet. It's either on their phone or frankly in their head. If they had to, they could walk across the border of the corrupt country they're in into a better country and take their wealth with them. There's countless examples of this. We're doing it with the UNHCR, United Nations High Commission on Refugees, to get money into the hands of Ukrainian refugees. This is through the power of a blockchain called Stellar and USDC. Money is going into the hands of Africans, the African citizens in the African continent, to be able to build wealth with a platform there called Aza Finance. There are countless examples. USDC has been used to fund COVID relief in India. We used it to fund Venezuelan frontline workers with COVID in 2020 in partnership with the government and with seized funds from the corrupt government that's there. These are really powerful utility examples, but it works because people trust it.
That's fantastic. I mean, I think the efficiency of it is incredible. The tooling, the tooling and what it can create, and the transparency it creates. And I think that was one thing also. I was like, wow, these music, They make all this music. They go to these hedge fund managers. They're like given a multiple. And I'm like, what's behind the multiple? How are they calculating that multiple? I don't know. Why is it increasing now? I don't know. Like, that's just unacceptable. Like that's just like, these are the people that are creating the value and should not be disintermediated from that value. And that's why this economic model works so well, because it is transparent and it's irrefutable. So you can't just decide that somebody doesn't like you at the office and, give the lien to somebody
Skin
else.
color, gender, preference, whatever the hell, yeah.
Right. So I think that's powerful. I'm Jaime. I'm going to ask you the bad question. What can go wrong? Like, what should we be worried about? What are we up at night thinking about?
I think we've seen a lot of headlines about what can go wrong in this industry. But what's gone wrong in 2022, we've seen all the big nasty headlines about Luna and FTX. Those have nothing to do with the technology. They have nothing to do with blockchain. They have nothing to do with Bitcoin. These are bad actors. These are centralized exchanges. These are unregulated offshore that could have happened in any industry. But because there's so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt, not enough education or understanding about the industry, those headlines can have a serious impact on our industry, and that's what we've seen. So I think, I know that a lot of the work that we do is about education. It's about, I actually got interviewed yesterday. Oh no, it was this morning and I was outside, it was very cold. And they said they were excited to interview me because I was the only Bitcoiner they could find that would go on camera. So I took that as a compliment. Yeah. But that's because, just like this is the first celebration of hip hop at Davos, Bitcoiners aren't in the main stage at the World Economic Forum either. Bitcoin has turned into a controversial word again, and we need to educate, and we need to fix that, and we need to teach about the promise of this technology, which is still in its infancy. For those of you that think you're too late and you missed the boat, I assure you, you are not too late. We think we're between 10 and 15 years away from this infrastructure actually being fully built out in mainstream. So congratulations for being early and being here.
Yeah, well, welcome. You're welcome here anytime. So we see KKR, brilliant people. They just launched a $1 billion catalog fund. Institutional investors are running to invest in that fund. Other large organizations are also doing the same. These are cultural assets, very valuable because they have yield, they have a revenue that comes, and they understand that, and it's repeatable. So these are highly valued assets, especially during times that are uncertain. What we're trying to do with this technology is to ensure that people have access to invest in these assets. Like, you can go to Coachella, come out, invest in your favorite song and your favorite artist, and also that the artists participate in the carry. So they are part of the investment group, and they are part of the decision makers, which honestly increases the value of the asset because they're tied to it, and also they can bring their friends, which is amazing. That's where I want to see. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just we have a debate about there's code of law, and then in our world, it's code is law. And some of the promise is not only can you embed equity back to the creator, you can embed equity to every generation that follows through the code. So every time that piece of art transacts, a cut of it can go back to the family, back to the estate, to the non-for-profit that you want to support. All of that is possible, and it can become trustless. If it's embedded in the code, you don't need an intermediary.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know that this is a very hot area here, this place. So
you and
physically,
me,
and so this is my last question. And Elisabeth, first of all, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
These women, Megan, Sarah, these are the people who are going to actually execute on this vision and are so important to this ecosystem. Well, that's a given.
Totally.
They're in. Yeah. We know, right? You're in. No. Anyway,
we appreciate you.
We're so excited, but I want Elisabeth to bring us home with we're here next year, willing. And what are we seeing? What are we seeing from a regulatory framework? What are we seeing from an adoption framework, education? How can we execute on that?
Yeah. So a really important thing that we're looking forward to is continuing to build trust we as a company do a lot of financial inclusion, education, outreach, and we have a, so that's number one. Is like you gotta keep building that trust, because 2022 did an awful lot to completely erode trust in anything about blockchain and cryptocurrency. One man, two men, three men who are bad actors. It's really a shame, but they really destroyed that trust. The technology, as you said, is great. It's the people who did bad things with it. People were saying the same thing about the internet in the late 90s. They were like, oh, this is bad, this is bad. It wasn't bad. The technology was fantastic. You just had a bunch of bad actors. So we've cleaned up a lot of that garbage in 2022. So 2023 is the year of utility. It's the year of trust. And where regulation comes in is that we spend a lot of time investing in helping regulators regulate us. We want to be regulated. A lot of people think regulation is bad, it slows things down. Regulation is actually good. Why? Because when you have regulators regulating you, it's an objective third party that's assessing the business that you do and helping protect the end user. The end user might be a consumer, it might be a business, but regulation is really important. And we've been around for 10 years, USDC's been around for 5 years. They know this isn't going away. I just quoted a really big number, $8.6 trillion powered by USDC last year. That's nuts. I have like every other number under the sun I could quote you. This is real, it's happening now. They know it, we know it, and particularly given what happened in 2022, they know now that they've got to actually start moving on this, which is fantastic, because we've been working with them. Regulators are our friends. So regulation has to happen. The other reason it has to happen is because, like, what is USDC? What is this digital dollar thing? They have to help it define and make it official that USDC, for example, is just it's a dollar. It's very simple. It's not a security, for example. And that's also important in your business, because if what you do is viewed as a security, it's regulated in a different way. It requires different steps that have to be gone through. But if the regulators lack clarity, then it slows the whole business down, which is why regulation actually, once those regulatory decisions are made, it's going to be so liberating. That's when you're going to see this groundswell. That's why some major mainstream companies are holding back right now, because they're unclear about, I don't want to trip up the law. Well, the law isn't written yet, because these are, as you were saying, these are the early innings. So if we can exit 2023 with a lot more understanding of what this is all about and what potential it holds for everybody, not just businesses, not just white people, not any particular group of people, everybody understands it. We do that through education. If we can continue to beat the drum on the trusted operators in this space.
Yes.
And if we can help regulators regulate us across the world, we are regulated in Singapore. We were just talking with the French minister yesterday, trying to figure out regulation in Europe. We spend time with regulators in America. If we can do that, and we exit the year with a lot more clarity around that, then all of our businesses will flourish a lot sooner than they will without it.
Absolutely. We'll accelerate. Well, thank you so much. I'm very humbled by these women. I'm also want to thank our partners, A16Z. Megan and team are just an incredible force. Also Forbes, Randall, Visionary, really just making this happen. And of course, our icons in the room. Dougie Fresh, Fat Joe, Cool and Dre, Roger. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tonight.
Thank you all. Hub Culture, handshake. Thanks for the venue. And we have a request. Again, thank you, Lori. Again, Lori, Dre, Megan, a Cultural Leadership Fund, Lobus, amazing, amazing. We got to get out of here in about 5 minutes. So let's clear the room. The conversations continue in the snow. So go on out, clear the room, and keep on talking right outside the door. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
I love y'all. I love y'all.
Thank you.
So
Hello, hello, hello. Everybody, I hate to do this. We really need you to exit this room. There's room downstairs, but we've got to get you to go because we've got a whole other group coming in 20 minutes. Sorry, please. Please, please, please. Thank you so much. Hey, great job. Sorry to rush you. Yeah, I know who she is. Yeah, I know. We're going to get together in New York. It's awesome. It's awesome, huh? I think we should put hearts on there. Walk people this way, literally. Just maybe grab. All right, let's keep moving out, please. Thank you. Grab your coats. Here, yeah. Fuck. Grace is gonna lose her mind.
Yeah. I think they have to open up 2 doors.
Yeah, do that. Can you tell them that? Can you tell them to open up both doors so that way it's bigger? Sorry, we can't let you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying.
She's looking for you. Sorry, we just. You're good. You're good. You're good. I know you're good. You're good.
It's for a hot welcome. Great. I work with Jaime.
Let's go. You know. All right, if we can keep moving out, please. So sorry. Please. There's room downstairs. There's food room downstairs. We just got to go. I apologize. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Great job.
Great job.
Guys, if you guys can start going that way, please. Sir, please. We really got to get going. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sing a song. Everybody leave this place. I know it's cool, but you gotta go. You gotta go home. Out of this.
I did not expect it.
Morgan.